Hi everybody, this is Marie. I'm so glad to be with you today, and we're going to be using the BV combinations to color the umbrella on this lovely bestie image. This is a clear stamp set called You Are My Sunshine, and Sherry's currently carrying this in her shop. We're going to, as you look at this umbrella, you can see so many different cues that Sherry gave us as to peaks and valleys. So we're going to start with our BV02, and we're going to just map the area where we're seeing would be in shadow. Any area that would be blocking, not getting the sunlight or the light source would be shadow, and we're just mapping those. Those will be your valley areas. And we're not going to leave the mountain areas white for the moment. Again, you see how this one area kind of appears to dip in. So we're going to have that again as one of our valleys. And when you're coloring, I like to always use the very light touch with my Copic nibs, because it allows the color to just glide, and you can also have better control. Now we're going to go over the area that we've mapped with our dark color, our shadow color, our BV17, and you're just going to follow the lines that you've mapped. The reason we map this is because if we find that we have colored something that really should be highlight, by mapping it with your lighter color, it still gave you an opportunity to be able to go and to change that. Gives you a second chance. So now we're just lightly flicking, very light control, the nib barely touching the paper, exactly over where you want the shadows to go. Now, can you see how that umbrella is already beginning to pop up? You can see the peaks and the valleys already. It has dimension. It isn't going to be just flat against the white paper. Now we're going to use a mid-tone, a BV13, a little less gray than our BV17, and we're just lightly flicking from the outer edge of our shadow color a little bit toward the highlight and extending our lines just a little bit further. A light flick easy does it. It's so important that we always look for how to add contrast to our images. Now we're moving in with our BV04, a little bit more vibrancy to our color. Less gray in the tones. And now again with our highlight, our very lightest, just barely going over, flicking from the outer edge of the BV04 toward our highlight, extending our lines a little bit more, and very careful not to go over that highlight too much. Because every time you go over even your highlight, you will lay down a particle color. It will darken that color, and you really want contrast. The more contrast, the more your image will pop. Now we're going to go over our shadow areas more with our BV17. Just over the top, careful not to get too much in. Just kind of going over, because as we've blended out, some of our color tones have lightened some, and as your color dries, your Copics will lighten a little as well. So many times you'll need to go back a couple times. Again, with our darker midtone, and you'll notice about 70% of our image will be with our midtones. And we have two here. We have a BV13, and that's the one we're using at the moment. Again, flicking from the outer color edge. And our second midtone, our BV04. Again, the outer edge of your darker tone toward the center, reserving some of that highlight area. And now just lightly flicking over, really gently, over the highlight. So you can really see how it captures the light and pops and has some movement. You see the hills, you see the valleys, and the umbrella doesn't give it that, a flat image. Now you'll see where our dark tone was a BV17. I want to add a little bit more pop. This is totally optional, but I love contrast. So the BV17, you take the last number, the 7, and you match it with your gray. And you go right over where you were with your very darkest shadow with your gray. Then you will take the BV17. You notice the C7 and the BV17, the last number remains the same. And it's important to always, after using your gray, go over the top with your dark shadow, because gray does have a tendency to kind of float and sit on the top, and you really want it to look like a dark shadow of the BV color and not make it look gray. The gray just merely enhances, deepens that shadow. I want to thank you for watching, and if you like it, subscribe, share, and give it a big thumbs up.